I've done a cucumber update, I've done a tomato update, so I guess it also makes sense to do a pepper update. Although, unlike the cucumbers and tomatoes, the peppers feel a little less exciting, and honestly, it felt that way last year too. I did start some seeds for new varieties or also duplicates of varieties that I loved and wanted backups of or just more of, but I also had a lot that I overwintered. The thing about peppers is they really do feel like they can take a long time to get going, which is why I started most of my pepper seeds way back in December. But anyways, let's take a look at these peppers and see what I've got going on. I'll start with the big pepper bed. First is Thunder Mountain Longhorn, and I grew this one 2 years ago. I tried to overwinter it, but it didn't take, and I forgot to start seeds for it last year, so I never did, but wanted them again this year. But this plant is doing something kind of wacky. I didn't top this one, but it's got a weird T shape to it. That's just how it's grown, which I have never seen before. And here is a sad looking Thai chili plant. I got this one as a freebie starter last year for one of my hydroponic towers, and I decided it was too big for a hydroponic tower, so I just planted it in this bed, and it did overwinter, but it looks really sad, and I think it was stunted because it was only this size last year, and it doesn't look like it's going to grow much more, so we'll see what happens with this one. I recently transplanted this brown jalapeno. It's tiny, but I just wanted to get it transplanted. I had such a hard time getting the seeds to germinate for this variety, so I would consider this a very late start pepper. Then here is the jigsaw pepper. It's got some really cool variegated leaves. When the plant gets big, the variegation looks really cool, and I've grown this one before, but started a new plant for it this year because the overwintering on this one didn't pan out. This one is the Hawaiian chili pepper, and I got these seeds in Hawaii when I last went 2 years ago. I couldn't get any seeds to germinate last year, and I gave up on them, but I tried so hard again this year and finally got one seed to germinate. But the plant has always been short and stocky like this, and I don't think it is supposed to be like this, so we'll see what happens with it. But I was really excited for this variety, so I do hope I get some peppers off of this plant. Next is the black Hungarian jalapeno, and it's doing pretty good. You can see some peppers on here, and I have been harvesting some for a few days now as I need them, which is nice. This is a sad looking overwintered plant, and it is the Jamaican mushroom pepper. If it doesn't improve, I'll probably pull it because it wasn't my favorite pepper, and if it's struggling, then there is no reason to keep it and let it take up resources. Next is the pumpkin spice jalapeno, and I'm not one of these basic girls who needs pumpkin spice everything, but I do like jalapenos, and I figured having different colors of jalapenos could be fun. And I do see some little baby peppers on the plant right now, so hopefully I can try one soon. Over here is a new orange Peter pepper plant, and this one has been dramatic since the get-go. Even as an even smaller seedling than it is now, the leaves were curled up, and no matter what I do, it doesn't revert. It just wants to be grumpy and miserable, I guess. So we'll see if I even get peppers off of this plant. And I overwintered an orange Peter from 2 years ago, but it didn't make it last year, so that's why I wanted to try a new plant again this year. Then we have red Peter over here, and this is one that I overwintered from 2 years ago. And the first year, the peppers looked how they were supposed to, and then last year, they didn't look how they were supposed to, if you know what I mean. So I did keep the original plant, but I also started a new plant for this year. I grow the Peter peppers because I think they're hilarious, and I think it's fun to give them to friends and family. Well, to the friends and family who have a sense of humor. Next up is Lemon Drop, and this was one of my favorites, and so I have three right here, and peppers can be planted closely, and the one in the middle is one that I have overwintered for 2 years now, and then I started two new plants this year and planted a new one on each side of the original plant, and they look pretty good. This is Sugar Rush Peach, and this is another overwintered one that I started from seed 2 years ago, although last year I didn't get much off of it, so I am hoping it does better this year. This one is the New Mex Lemon Spice Jalapeno. also a 2-year overwintered plant, but last year it performed poorly and pushed out these short jalapenos that weren't even worth eating, and you can see some like that already formed and are now wrinkly. I meant to pick these off sooner. So yeah, I may pull this one if it keeps pushing out these types of peppers, but I did start a new plant of it right here for this season, so hopefully it does better. Over here is a Cho di Scerdo pepper plant, overwintered for the past 2 years, and then a Corno de Toro plant, also overwintered for the past 2 years. Both of these didn't do well last year, so I hope they will this year. The Cho di Scerdo has some peppers on it right now at least, so that's a start, but I'd like to see the plant get bigger. This is a smaller bed of peppers, and I put most of my sweet or mild peppers in here, and these are jalapenos, 3 overwintered from last year, but this one doesn't look happy. I think it might be dying, but I'm going to prune it back and see if it helps. But the other two look okay, but I also started another one for this season, and these are really good. They are jalapenos without the heat, which I need because I like spicy, but I get bad heartburn sometimes from peppers, so it's nice to get jalapeno flavor from these when I don't want to risk getting heartburn. This is Jimmy Nardello, and I grew it once, and then the plant died at the end of the season during a bad heat wave, so I didn't get to overwinter it. So I grew another plant for last season, and then I think I planted these with some compost that didn't age enough, so the seedling just burned up and died, and I didn't have enough time to restart it. But this year, it's looking like it'll be a better year for it, and there are some peppers forming on the plant, but these are supposed to be red when they're ripe, so I'll wait. This is paprika, and there's some peppers on here. This is another seedling that got burned from the hot compost last year, so I had to try it again this season, and it's also looking like it should do well this year. This is Violet Sparkle, overwintered from last year. It didn't perform super well last year, but we'll see what it does this year. These two are lunchbox peppers that I also got for free for one of my hydroponic towers, and they never looked great, but they did overwinter, so I'll be interested to see what happens this year with them. And then over here is a Golden Cal Wonder, just a classic yellow bell pepper, and it's a new plant for this year. Here are some pepper plants that I pulled and put in containers because I didn't like them, and I forgot to water them, so they died. The plan was to give them away, but that ship has sailed. And this is an overwintered mini bell pepper plant that has always been in a container, but it's looking kind of sad, but the weeds are growing well in the container at least. This is an overwintered banana pepper that has also always been in a container and is not looking great, but it's still alive. When I scratched the trunk, it was still green, so we'll see if it has a comeback or not. Here is my shishito pepper planter. I had 3 plants in here last year and I overwintered them, but one is looking like it's doing well and one looks questionable and then one straight up died. I did start 3 new plants because I was hoping to have 6 of these plants in total since I love shishitos and could eat blistered shishitos every day. And these 2 look good, and I have peppers on them that I could and should harvest. And then this third plant is starting to gain speed. Honestly, it looked awful and tiny when I transplanted it, but I just stuck it in here because I was tired of babying it, and to my surprise, it has really progressed. So it looks like I'll have 4 plants, maybe 5 if the questionable one takes off. Over here in my cucumber bed, I have crammed in some pepper plants, and here are actually 3 poblano pepper plants, and they are getting nice and tall, and the cucumbers will provide a little shade for them. These poblanos were actually kind of late starts for me too because I got the seeds in the early spring and I sowed several seeds before any germinated, so I'm glad I was finally able to get 3 plants going and that they grew so fast after starting them so late. Over here on the other side of the bed, I planted 2 Soundwave jalapeno pepper plants. These are supposed to be larger sized jalapenos, and they also seem to be doing well. I wanted to fit in a third pepper plant, but with the way the cucumbers are rapidly growing, I don't think I can, but that's okay. And going back inside, here in my odds and ends arrow garden, I have a Gatherer's Gold pepper plant. I had such a hard time getting it to germinate as well, and I resowed it several times, and this seedling has been struggling, so I may just pot this up and harden it off and get it transplanted and see what happens. This is actually what one of those shishito pepper plants looked like that I didn't think was going to make it, and it's doing pretty well now, so maybe this one has a chance. Then over here is the fish pepper. I had issues getting the seeds to germinate so much so that I even bought a new pack of seeds after my old pack was not germinating. But even the new pack of seeds proved difficult to get any to germinate, but I finally got this one too. But the seedling is still rather weak looking and very slow growing, so I may do the same thing and just get it hardened off and transplanted and see what happens. This is my upstairs hydroponic seed starting unit, and I have an orange jalapeno that I can take out and harden off and transplant. I have a few other varieties of peppers that I just couldn't get any seeds to germinate for, which is a bummer, especially for the ones that I have grown before and tried to overwinter, but then the plants died. And speaking of overwintering, I'm starting to think that just because you can doesn't mean you should, because all of my overwintered plants don't look great. Some have only barely started to leaf out, and for the ones that have leafed out, the leaves are smaller, and you would think that overwintering plants would mean you'd have a head start on pepper production, but I think I can still get a head start on pepper production if I start them as early as I do, and case in point, these two new shishito pepper plants have produced before an overwintered one. And overall, I may end up with healthier, happier plants. Some varieties I took a risk and didn't start seeds for them because I thought the plants would overwinter well, only for the plants to falter and then die after it was too late to start seeds for them. So I think I'd rather just start new seeds for each season. I think I'll still let my pepper plants overwinter, but for the varieties I really love, I'll start seeds for just in case because worst case, the older plants die off, and best case, the original plants keep producing, and I'll have newer plants on top of that for hopefully more peppers. I wish I could say my peppers were doing as well as my cucumbers and tomatoes, but this is real life, and sometimes some plants just don't perform as well. But even though this may not end up being my best pepper year, I still have a decent amount of plants, and I should still have a good selection of peppers to harvest this year. And as long as I have enough for my needs, I'll be happy.